Howdy, howdy, howdy. Today is August 15th, 2017, and this is The Garden Nerd. Today I'm going to give you a tour of the garden. Let's get started. Alright, you can start with the grape trellis here. It is doing pretty good. Got to duck under it because it is getting way down. There are, still a lot of fruit sets on these guys. Hopefully I will get like a good harvest this year since it has been a bit more of a wet year. You can see a bunch of clusters. There are like the dried grapes there. But there's still like a whole lot of fruit. The concrete raised bed here has the kale in there. They're doing good. All these delicious kales. My family seems to like the kale chips, so I guess I'll be doing more of those. I'm just going to have to harvest some of this stuff pretty soon. Nasturtium there is doing okay. Over here I took out the onions and the carrots that were going to seed, and I went to plant in some radishes, which some of them have come up, a little bit of turnips. I have some transplants of turnips and stuff I will stick on over here. And the back there, the chives are still doing very well. Just kind of letting them be established this year, so I'm not going to cut at them too much. Over here in the rustic raised bed, I had the black beans over here. They're doing pretty good. Basically, I'm just waiting for the pods to dry out some. Once they are dried out, then I can harvest them and dry the beans and store those. Some more kale. The giant collards are still there. So I need to start really eating more of this stuff. It's just really pretty to look at, and I do enjoy the look of them. But yeah, I think I just need to start eating a bit more of the greens. Up here in the lasagna garden, I have a good mixture of things. In the back there is a bunch of beets, which are doing pretty good, I believe. They are, some little ones, but these are pretty densely planted. Hopefully those will be a good fall crop. Then I also have some more over here, but I do have a lot of weeds and things in there, since that's just, something that happened. Have to kind of, stay on top of that a little bit more. Cabbage up here doing pretty good. Then I got a zucchini here in the corner, which is doing pretty good. Like, I got that big fat zucchini there. Then I got some more kale, black cherry tomatoes over here, which I put out like a little bit later, so they shall hopefully come in at some point. Some nice flowers in here. I think that's a sunflower thrown in. Then in the corner is some yellow squash on the other side, which is doing something, but not too much. And then I have a volunteer tomato plant, which I'm just kind of letting sprawl about just to see like how it does over here. So that's kind of cool. Over here in this other raised bed, I have a bunch of the lettuce in there, which I've been kind of munching on a little bit. And then I also have some basil. This is like the only basil that's doing good in the garden thus far. It is, however, getting shaded out by the giant 3 zucchini plants in here. They're doing pretty good. I've been getting like a lot of zucchini, making that zucchini bread. I have, some more zucchini here and there. But it's a very nice, luscious plant that's going on. The tomatoes in this area are doing okay. I am getting like some blight on some of these tomatoes. Like, the tomatoes themselves are getting like black spots on them, which I believe is like a blight type thing. I have to figure out like what's going on with them. So I might just try to switch them up because, this year I used the Independence Day tomatoes, which were doing okay. Setting the fruits, and then the Abe Lincoln ones are also more the disease prone. Like you can see on there, the black blight and whatnot coming from it. So while the tomatoes are very nice and I do like them, they're just not doing as well. But the Rutgers that I have don't seem to be having as much of that problem. They seem to be a bit more healthier and sturdier than them. I don't know if that's like because they're a different variety, maybe possibly a different hybrid type thing. But they seem to be doing pretty well as well. And then I have a cherry tomato over here, which, some of these are going. And then I also have some butternut squash that just kind of sprawled up and through more volunteer butternut squash. Like you can see, some more squash. And that's the one that's in the tomato bed over here. Kind of just started there and I just kind of let it go with it squashing up. Over here in the weaved bed, I harvested all the green beans. They were the bush variety, so once they had their harvest, they were kind of done. I threw some turnips down along the middle, hoping to get like a nice fall crop for the turnips. And then the parsnips, I've reseeded quite a few times. I do have like 2 to 3 like little parsnip plants. Hopefully I'll get something. They've been in like those ones that started like earlier in the season, so hopefully I'll get something. Another cabbage, that seems to be doing well. And then all along the fence is the straight 8 cucumbers, which are doing pretty good. I mean, there's lots of cucumbers on there that I actually need to harvest. Here and there's some nice big ones. I'm gonna try to figure out what to do with those. But I think these guys, since it's just kind of getting late in the season for them, they're just kind of getting discolored. So that hasn't really happened like to this extent for me. I mean, some of the new growth is green, but these older ones are just kind of dying out. So I'm just gonna kind of like let it run its course. Get what cucumbers I can from them and probably pickle them. I did make some pickles because I did have a good amount of cucumbers before. If I have enough more, I might do that, but you know, I think it was a pretty good year for the cucumbers for me. Alright, right here in this little square jammer, the nasturtium is doing amazing. I really do like the plant. I know it's edible, and I've eaten them before. I don't know if like it's gonna be my favorite thing to eat, but I do like them because I got those like little cool little lily pad type things going on them. Then more flowers here, the zinnias, radish kind of just letting it sit there, and some sort of unknown plant up here. I don't really know what it is. I'm just kind of letting it go. It is flowering. I have no idea what it is, so if you know, kind of let me know what this guy is. That would be pretty cool. Over here in the other little square bed, this one, again, it's the lack of light, but I mean, do have some culinary herbs here. There is the parsley, some basil, which is not doing too great. The turnips from earlier in the year that I'm just kind of letting go because they're not getting too big, but I figure if I leave them, worst things that happens, it just goes to the compost bin. But yeah, so again, these 2 spots here are not really that great due to the trees and whatnot above them. So I don't know if I'm gonna kind of keep these spots as is. Might change it around, might just like let vining crops vine this way, see what's gonna go on. You know, gardens will always be changing. Alright, up here I believe this is another butternut squash variety up here. The sorghum is now coming in. It is starting to come to head, which is pretty good. You know, this is like cover crop, and like sorghum is an ancient grain, so you can eat it. So I think in this like little dense area, I should get a decent crop, possibly even for eating. That'd be kind of cool. Then over here is another yellow squash, which you can see in there. And over there is Lola taking a nap. She kind of likes that spot, so, you know, yay for her. Alright, then up here we have the mixture of things. We got the marigolds in the corner, and then the Swiss chard along the middle, which I need to be eating off of more, and some lettuce that I transplanted in, which is probably getting to the point where it's starting to bolt, so I'm going to have to eat, save it, chop and drop, do something. The broccoli, kind of harvested on a little bit. Most of it is going to flower, which is good. You know, the flowers are nice. Good for the pollinators. But yeah, I think these guys are mostly done. I might just kind of let them go to flower, or I might take them out. Haven't decided yet. One of the marigolds there, and tucked away is another cabbage. So that's pretty good. I had to harvest one of them in the other spots of the garden because of slug decided to start munching on them, so I harvested that and ate that for a bit. I think I still have some left. And then all along here is a volunteer squash. I believe it's mostly butternut. I got like a butternut squash right here. And this is one of the plants that I didn't actually plant. It just kind of came up. there you go, like another squash there. I'm not entirely certain. I think it might be a variety of squash that I don't know. It might be a butternut or some kind of hybrid seed that happened from, you know, store-bought plants. But there's quite a lot of growth here. There's a really cool thing that I'm going to show you, because like all along here, that squash has just kind of been growing up here. There's definitely more butternut up here, but over here is another really big green squash. You can see how big it is, and that's pretty cool. So yeah, but then up here, up around the flower bed and the blueberries, which did a little bit of blueberries. But up here, from the same spot down from the garden, you can see the squash grow. And I have this giant, what I think might be a butternut squash. I'm not entirely certain because I don't remember them being like this green. It could be. I'm going to find out, obviously, by letting it go and letting it grow. But it kind of just grew up into the lilac tree, which I think is pretty cool, because it just kind of like, I'm just going to climb up here and I'm just going to let it do that. Alright, now for the central part of the garden here, the black beans are doing well. That's just, you know, a wait and see type thing. Just so this way they will get, you know, dried out and hardened, so this way I can store them. The central 1,500-year-old beans, the cave beans, are doing pretty amazing. I haven't gotten any paws off them yet, but the teepee got super full up, so before it started completely overgrowing it, I decided to make kind of like a trellis shade type thing. I don't know what you'd call it, but what I did is I put a stick along the center there, like right there, and then I tied the rope, like hooped it there, and then there's a hook up there that I hooked the rope onto. Then I took some more rope and I tied to there onto the stick, and then I brought it down to the teepee and then back up. And I did the same thing on the other side with more rope, and I did that. So now it's just climbing up there. I'm hoping that it's not going to get too heavy, but I think it should be fine. Hopefully better than last year's green bean trellis disaster. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. It's making like a cool like little shade. It's probably not best for my plants that are living underneath, because the peppers are starting to ripen. These are the Portuguese, I believe, hot peppers, which are very hot, especially when you let them go red. So I'm going to need to start harvesting those. I'm thinking I'm going to get a dehydrator and dehydrate them and kind of save them and grind them up for spices. Then the Big Jim peppers here are starting to go. These are the ones I started from seed, so I'm very happy that they bounced back from their initial bug damage. So I'm very excited for that. Let's see how they are. Those are supposed to be a more mild spice, so that's good. Then the Habanero peppers are doing okay. I've harvested some of them. I'm trying to let them go, you know, get them pretty mature. But they keep, branches keep falling off because the peppers are too big, which is, you know, a good problem to have. And then some more beets are still growing down here, and then more of the hot peppers. And over there, I got some basil that I started direct seeded into here, threw some compost down, and just kind of letting it go. Alright, this like little side flower bed, you know, 3, 2, 1. The little side flower bed over here is doing good. The zinnias are popping up. The asters, bachelor buttons are doing good. To go back and do probably a little bit more weeding. The sunflowers are getting nice and high. They're taller than me now, and they're starting to hopefully start flowering at some point. That's going to be kind of fun. More zinnias and stuff kind of popped in there. And as you can see, I have quite the vining pumpkin over here, which I see I have one little pumpkin started over here. I think that might be it, because this guy's super vining. It's even vining toward the rest of the garden, so I may have to trim that. But I'm kind of like, you know, trying to let it go and do its thing. I'm just very impressed by how long it is vining from, because it is vining from the backjammer spot over here, which is kind of hard to get to via the sidewalk. But the plant was originally planted like right in here, and now it's a good, I don't know, 10-15 feet long trellising that way. The watermelon is not doing too good because it's kind of just gotten overshowered by these guys here. So I don't think I'm gonna get watermelon. I haven't had much luck, probably due to the lack of the sunny spots, but maybe possibly, I don't know. And then it's more butternut squash. I did start quite a bit of that. I should probably have to start thinking about recipes and things. These are the beets that I initially planted in the early season. Some of them are getting pretty decently sized, but I'm just trying to space out all the beets that I harvest, since like I said earlier, I did can quite a few, but I did plant quite a lot, so, you know, some fresh beets and things. Save them for the more later time. So I harvested all the potatoes since they were getting about done. I wanted to free up some space here, because the pepper there was getting kind of overshadowed. As you can see, I did pile up a good amount of compost toward that tomato, since when I dug out the potatoes there, I did disturb the roots on that tomato plant, so maybe it's just going gangbusters from all the added compost, which is fine by me, because I do like the cherry tomatoes quite a bit. This is the cabbage that I was talking about earlier. It had a slug just kind of like munching away on it, so I harvested it. I'm just gonna let that kind of sit there until I figure out if I'm gonna put anything else there. The lettuce kind of mixed in there is doing okay. I haven't really harvested that one. They're not doing too good. They're kind of bolting, so they're gonna probably be bitter. There is some little butternut squash growing here, and my trellis didn't work as well as I was hoping it here. Maybe I needed to do a little bit more work on it than just kind of gently guiding it, and maybe do it a bit more ties, but if I get something, I'll be fine with that. Alright, the container rounding is going pretty good. This had the peas, if you remember. I put pickling cucumbers in here. They're doing pretty well. They're actually giving me some pickles. Well, cucumbers that I will make into pickles here, through a black cherry tomato up front there. Again, I don't know if it's just this humid weather that we're having, but the cucumbers are just kind of getting damaged. Again, I'm just going to let them go and see what they do. Hopefully they will do continually doing well, and I'll get some good pickling cucumbers from it. The mint here I harvested pretty harshly. It's growing back nicely. I'm drying out the mint for like teas and things. And here is the different peppers. The habanero pepper, which broke. Unfortunately, I didn't notice it until the peppers got really soggy and whatnot. So I lost some good peppers, but there are some nice new ones growing here, which I'm gonna, try to harvest and stay on top of. Up front here are the two big gym peppers, which are starting to flower, but I haven't seen too much growth here, but there is a little pepper there. So that's pretty good. The lettuce over here, which is being like little shaded out by its neighbors, but I think that should be okay, so hopefully it will grow and not bolt as much. I think that's all romaine. The kale, which I thought I was going to cut back on, but I didn't. I'm kind of letting it grow and harvesting it for salads and more kale chips. Over here is the black cherry tomatoes, the same variety that is over in the garden that I planted later. I did put quite a few in here, so I'm going to probably trim this back soon and then cage it up or stake it up, because these also had the peas in them too, so I'm just trying to, reuse the space as best I can, and maybe get some of these delicious black cherry tomatoes. Over here in the trial beds, the left side is the no dig, the right side is the dug bed. I went through and I added mostly finished compost to each, because I was going through my compost and applying it to beds. Also, I just figured they guys would probably need a boost since neither side was doing too great. But the peppers are doing okay on this side. I have some peppers going there, and then some bigger peppers here on the no-dig side, so that's pretty exciting. I have the Swiss chard on either side. They're doing okay. And then the cabbage. on either side. These guys, you know, this one isn't looking as pretty, but I think once I harvest it and like let it go, it will be fine. But, you know, you can see this side is smaller than this side for most of the things. The only thing that is different is the Swiss chard. There's like the one plant, but there is 2 different plants here of the Swiss chard. So it's not exactly 100% the same, but you can tell just by looking that the no-dig side is doing better for the most part. I'll keep you kind of updated on this as I go. I know I haven't put out a specific thing, but I'm trying to shoot some video and keep track of it all there. So I wanted to really quickly show you the harvest that I have here of mainly cucumbers, because I did let them go for a while and I had to dig and find some. So that's pretty awesome. I'm going to have to figure out what to do with those. Some nice tomatoes and a giant zucchini. Alrighty folks, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share. Check out the Facebook page where I do post some pictures and whatnot of the garden when I get to it. It's been a kind of a busy month or so lately, so I've been, you know, not getting out and doing as much as I'd like. But thanks for watching. Bye!